So you can see the transmission of the information being passed on. You know what I mean? Is what I'm
right?
getting at.
I was reading some very interesting stuff about masonry and its development from the original stonemasons to what they call the speculative masons, just guys that wear aprons but don't really do work. The aprons are like stonemasons' aprons, and sort of things like that. And a lot of these Masonic traditions derive from these medieval groups who would create their own mythology. They felt they had to integrate themselves into European mythology, which at that time was the Bible, for all intents and purposes. So my own feeling is that these craftspeople, well, let's be real, craftsmen. These craftsmen were perpetuating this mythology as a way to unify their group and also integrate it into the wider society so that they too are part of this great biblical narrative that the West used to regard itself as, Christendom, we used to call it. So that was all I had. Unless you want me to start going on about Freemasons, but
Well, so
We've actually gotten Tan to where he's gone silent. So
I think
things got a little chaotic here when I popped in. I'm like,
I think
hey!
well, we got
Everybody.
so sidetracked from what I wanted to do originally. Let's pause this here and continue next week and move on with your regularly scheduled.
I do want to point. I
Get here
do.
earlier next week too.
I do
Yeah.
want to point something out to you though on this chapter 17 through 36 you got right there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Sheol, okay, that's interesting. That's something that you would probably want to look at. And then when they start talking about the storehouses of winds and stars, mountains of fire and precious stones, those are things that you should never overlook, because that is where I come in and I start talking about alchemy and paganism and how it's just saturated in all of these stories everywhere.
I think a lot of these books are astrotheological, as they call it. A lot of them have to do with movements of the heavenly bodies, and I've talked about this a lot before. For ancient peoples, the sky was rocket science. They saw, this star rises and the river floods, or the sun does this and we can grow crop. So they figured everything was integrated into one big thing, and if only they could figure out what the stars meant. So I think a lot of the time they were looking to the sky literally to see what was going to happen and what they were supposed to do. That's why they get really upset over things like comets and fireballs and stuff like that. Like whole cities would collapse. They have riots and things. It's because there's a comet or something. The government's overgrown.
they
Yeah,
had folks that
the
would
comet.
drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Well, I can see it. Hey, there's a comet. Time to go on a looting spree. Woohoo! And everybody just rises up. I'm getting a new horse this time.
I don't think Tan expected all this intense
Logical insight, yeah.
Well, I mean, like from a perspective of a Catholic, what would your take of all this be, Tan?
The several sections down, I go over some of the early church fathers, how they consider this book, and how some of them actually accepted it as truth, but then later they got rebuked. They got rejected by the churches, saying this is why this is why it's this.
How much access did the West have to the book? I understood that it came in kind of late. I mean, when they were compiling the King James Bible, for example, did they even have access to consider including it? I know there's some Apocrypha in there, but I don't think the Book of Enoch's in there.
The King James is way after.
Yeah.
Even way back in the 3rd century, people like Augustine, Irenaeus, they were already aware of this book.
Oh, okay. I didn't know how far back it was
Irenaeus was
available.
a great naysayer. Irenaeus will tell you what's canon, what's not, what's crap, and he hated Gnosticism. It was the great heresy for him.
Right.
No, see,
But for a period of time, he did. Let's quickly go down.
oh, he's excited now.
Well, as a Catholic, can I ask you, how does it feel knowing that the Romans, because of Roman Catholicism, Romans killed Jesus? Pilate's orders, right?
How does it feel? I mean, from
Having a
from
religion
the-
of a people who killed their God.
from the Christianity's point of view, it was the Jews
yeah.
who gave
Pilate gave
Jesus up to the
Jews, that
Romans.
used to be- I
Right?
remember that in the Catechism, the wicked Jews.
Yeah.
There were some good Jews. I think they implied that there were good Jews too. So it was only the wicked ones.
And I think that it's only appropriate that we mention Saint Tunathian too, because he's very important in a lot of this when it comes to what me and Tan were talking about deifying mortals and stuff into God-like beings. That's something that came directly from Saint Tunathian. Like when you hear about Thoth and Tuatus, he was one of them that Saint Tunathian just directly accused of being deified. He was a human that made it to Egypt and taught them math and reading and stuff like that, and they made him into a deity.
Oh yeah, they would deify Roman emperors too. But
Oh yeah.
I think the Passion of Christ. I think if you're going to relate it to something pagan, and I love what G.K. Chesterton said. If you really want to see paganism today, everything in the West is the creation of Christianity, except the Christian Church. That is where you can look to see where pagan elements. And that it has to do with. I mean, there were several gods that had to do with death and rebirth. So it's more than just deification; it's also conquering death.
Yeah.
And then of course there was the descent to the underworld and then rising. Although I'm not sure if is that actually in the Bible, Ton, or is that a tradition that Christ went to for 3 days or during his 3 days?
No, it's not in the Bible, but there was some sermon in even the first century. We often hear about it on Holy Saturday after Good Friday, where there's this ancient sermon of God, of Christ after he died. He descended into the underworld.
Yes.
And he greeted Adam. And then he woke up Adam basically, and he took Adam up with him.
Now, didn't he also retrieve the key of life? I believe was what it was in one of the stories.
I don't know about that one, but I mean, he is the tree of life, basically.
Yeah.
Well, I want to hit on this deification thing, deifying mortals. So there is a theory, by the way, that Jesus himself was a trained imperial magician, okay, who worked for the Romans, and he was used as an agent to bring the Hebrew people into compliance because they were a rebellious state for the Roman Empire. So they sent in somebody to basically water down their religion and bring in compliance for them. And then before he was found out, he was executed.
Wow.
That doesn't make sense. Because the Roman...
Sound like something Mr. Robot would say.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
That doesn't make sense at all, because the Roman concept was it doesn't matter what your faith is. It's just that you have to pay homage to Rome and pay taxes and so forth. So it doesn't matter which religion you are, as long as you uphold the Roman concepts.
Well, and at the time, somehow it was documented. I don't know. Some guy did has an entire 12-year college education on Christ, but he said that like Christ, man.
12 years college education.
Yeah.
He well, he said at the time period where Jesus was walking around doing his miracles, there were two other documented Jesuses who were magicians, and I find
Oh
that
yeah, you can start talking about Apollonius of Tyana. You can start talking about the Peter Paul feud. The thing is, though, it's good to keep in mind. I read some very interesting works on. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was looking at the historic, what we do have of the political and social movements that were going on at the time, and Christ's ministry does fit in well with what we know of the socio-political situation. Now, I don't know if he was a Roman catspaw. I kind of doubt that, although I guess anything is theoretically possible. But,
well, I mean, the miracles that he was performing was actually common for that day. Rabbis would go around all the time doing the same miracles.
I don't think he ever do them. I'd like to see some of them do some now.
Yeah,
that's I would love to see that now, but
that there was actually like 3 or 4 different versions of Jesus. Like they can't pinpoint which one was actually the Jesus that's mentioned in the Bible.
Right.
Well, it wasn't an uncommon name, So.
Right. So I mean, there is some things that's kind of going off of that, but at the same time, I think this is where we probably should let Tan hyperventilate, take a break, and get back to this next week, because he's put this together really, really well, and
that's okay. I mean, while you guys was talking, I was just scrolling through to the end. So your readers.
They made jugs in his shape. I'm sorry, you ever see a Bellarmine jug?
Yeah.
They make these jugs that look like St. Robert.
Yeah.
They're called Bellarmine jugs, yeah.
I think we should pick this up next week.
I'm sorry, Ton. I did not mean to interrupt you, but I mean, it's like, wow, okay, I know that guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you feel like picking this up next week? Because I think you've tapped into some really good stuff, Dan, here.
Sure. I will prepare more stuff, actually. So I haven't gone through all of it. But
I'm going to come back with some more of this Dead Sea Scrolls stuff, too, because I think there's a lot of things that, especially because whenever I stepped away to smoke a cigarette, you were starting to talk about Satan, and I think that there's a lot of cool stuff you need to hear about this stuff, because I learned this actually from
Satan.
I actually learned a lot of this from Esoterica, which is a really, really cool channel on YouTube.
Yeah, Dr. Sledge, he's pretty cool.
He knows his stuff, and like when you start talking about what we were talking about there with Satan and the Dead Sea Scrolls and stuff, he gets right into it. He just it'll blow you out of the water.
Actually, I don't know if you're familiar with the YouTube channel by the name of Matron.
No,
Italian that just recently moved to the US, but he looks at a lot of he tries to provide evidence for religious sort of Bible concepts.
Cool. Okay, so you want me to go ahead and cut it off here and then come back next week with it?
Yeah, let's resume next week. We're gonna have more. Otto, feel free to join early next week.
I would like to.
Also be.
Yeah, that would be great. Sorry I didn't get here sooner tonight. It's just been a wacky day. Issues with my mom at the nursing home. We don't need to go into it, but what time were you guys starting?
It'd be 6 o'clock your time.
All right, I'll make a point of being here for that.
Okay.
I'll be dog sitting by then too, so I'll have a new dog to show you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, do you want me to do an ending or do you want to do it, Tan?
You go. I don't know. Okay, let me do it. What are we doing in ending? I mean, we're wrapping up this first part of going through the Book of Enoch. Got a little sidetracked halfway through, but we will resume, get back on track next week. I'd hope to go into more details of the Catholic's perspective, how we look at the book.
Okay.